Good evening. How is everyone tonight on this lovely rainy night in Baltimore? Yes, it's raining. We've been having thunderstorms most of the afternoon on this Mother's Day, but that's okay. The rain kind of sets the mood for Sunday evening mysteries, does it not? Okay. So, Sharon Schultz here. Um, I'm known as the Bay Lady on the virtual tour circuit. I've been doing virtual tours around the Chesapeake Bay area where I live for the last several years. So this is one of my favorite little things to do. Mysteries. I love mysteries, always have. So mystery night tonight is usually reading several chapters from a book that we've started, which we will do. And then we usually do some other kind of little mystery related thing. Usually a mystery to solve. Tonight, though, we're going to do something a little bit different and we're going to test our sleuthing skills. Okay, I'll explain shortly. But anyway, back to my introduction here. Again, my name's Sharon Schultz, and I do all kinds of tours and go all kinds of places. And so, if you want to, learn more, if you want to keep up with my tours, find out when they are, you want to then follow me on my Facebook page, The Bay Lady, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sharon Schultz, The Bay Lady. And then you can check off whether you want to be notified when I schedule tours. Also on that platform, hello. Also on that platform is some links to virtual tour platforms that carry my tours, that list them on your calendars and advertise them and such. So you can really, really catch up with me in a lot of different places. I make it really easy, right? Also, there's another link on my pages to buy me a coffee. That's where you can support my content if you so desire. All support, of course, is quite appreciated. Let's see, somebody is chatting at me, said hello. Hey, Annette, how are you? So let me start. I said I wanted to do something a little bit different tonight. So the 5-minute mystery booklet here is by Jack Patua, and he is like the mystery king. This man writes them, teaches them, does them. He's incredible. He writes books, he writes plays, he conducts workshops and just all kinds of things. He's like the mystery guru, right? I've participated in several of his mystery plays, and they are outstanding. They're very well done. Anyway, what we're going to do tonight is a little thing in his book here called Global Sleuthing Quiz. Okay, this is a global sleuthing quiz. So get out your paper and pens and or whatever you're writing on your notebook, laptop, phone, whatever works for you. Okay, I'll explain. It says a good sleuth has connections around the world. Check how much you know about the entire globe by answering the following questions. Okay, are you up for this? Let's go. All right, first question. If you are driving 100 kilometers per hour, how fast are you traveling in miles per hour? Okay, if you're driving 100 kilometers per hour, How fast is that in miles per hour? Okay, you got to do a little calculating there in your head. Of course, you also have to have memorized just what a kilometer is, what driving, what miles per hour are, what ratios they use, etc., etc. Okay, so question one, if you're driving 100 kilometers per hour, how fast are you traveling in miles per hour? Everybody got it? Anybody know? Anybody want to guess? I'll let the clock tick here for a minute. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And the answer is 62 miles per hour. How about that, right? 100 kilometers per hour equals 62 miles per hour. That's a big difference, right? Question number two. The following cities are the capitals of which nations? Oh, this is good. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The following cities are the capitals of which nations? Okay, here's the cities. Bratislava, Ulaanbaatar, Nairobi, Wellington, and Reykjavik. I'll spell it. I can't really pronounce it. It is spelled Reykjavik. Reykjavik. And then the last one is Ankara. So we have Bratislava, Ulaanbaatar, Nairobi, Wellington, Reykjavik, I'm guessing, and Ankara. Okay. Hope you wrote those down. Okay, so the answers. Are we ready? Bratislava is in Slovakia. Ulaanbaatar is in Mongolia. Nairobi is in Kenya. Wellington is in New Zealand. And Reykjavik is Iceland, and Ankara is Turkey. So that's very interesting. I had heard of maybe half of those cities, right? Okay, question 3. This might be easier. What are the monetary units of these nations? The United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, South Africa, and China. Okay, the monetary units. The UK, Germany, Japan, South Africa, and China. Okay, I'm gonna throw some answers out here. The UK is pounds, right? Pounds sterling. Germany is the mark, right? Or is that Denmark? I'm going to say the mark. Japan is yen. No. Is Japan yen? And what is China? Oh my goodness. I'm not so good at this. South Africa. I don't know. I guess my sleuthing skills might need a little polishing here. Okay, so the UK, Germany, Japan, South Africa, and China. What are the monetary units in those countries? The UK, the pound. I knew that. Oh man, Germany is euro. I forgot about the euros. Germany's euro. Japan is yen. South Africa is the Rand, R-A-N-D, and China is Yuan, Y-U-A-N, Y-U-A-N. Well, that was interesting. Question number 4. When it's noon in Chicago, what time is it in these cities? Rome, Moscow, Bombay, and Tokyo. Okay, when it's noon in Chicago, what time is it in Rome, Moscow, Bombay, and Tokyo? That's a tough one. You have to know your international times. I don't know mine. In Chicago, let's see, that's in a different time zone from where I am. And I think, let's see, I think it's earlier in Chicago than it is here, I think. And I have no idea what time it is in Rome, Moscow, Bombay, or Tokyo. From here in Baltimore, I could tell you, right? I know it's 5 hours to 5 hours time difference to Ireland and the UK, and 6 hours to Spain, and I don't know who else. Anyway, okay, so here we go. The answers to the time zone question when it's noon in Chicago. It is 7 p.m. in Rome, 10 p.m. in Moscow, 11:30 p.m. in Bombay. That's weird, right? Half hour. And 3 a.m. in Tokyo. So 12 noon Chicago, 7 p.m. Rome, 10 p.m. Moscow, 11:30 Bombay, and 3 a.m. Tokyo. Question 5. There's only 10 questions, by the way. Question 5. What colors are the flags of the following nations? The Czech Republic, Russia, France, the UK, the Netherlands. What are the colors of the flags of these countries? The Czech Republic, Russia, France, UK, and the Netherlands. Colors are the flags. Does anyone know what color the flags are? Let's see. All right, so they are all the same color. All of the flags mentioned are all the same colors. Does anybody know what they are? The same colors as the American flag. We can throw that in there as well. They're all red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. All righty, question 6. If a package weighs 100 pounds, what does it weigh in kilograms? If a package weighs 100 pounds, what is the weight of the package in kilograms? Ready? 45.5 kilograms. So 100 pounds equals 45.5 kilograms. That's stuff you almost have to memorize. Same with this next question, number 7. When it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit, what is the temperature on the Celsius scale? 80 degrees Fahrenheit, what is the temperature Celsius? So when it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit, it's 27 degrees Celsius. 80 degrees Fahrenheit is 27 degrees Celsius. Number 8, what are the approximate populations of these nations? What are the approximate populations of these nations? England, Germany, Canada, Japan, China, Singapore. England, Germany, Canada, Japan, China, and Singapore. I'll give you a minute for that one. Probably should give you about 3 hours and we probably still wouldn't get it, right? The populations of those countries. I haven't a clue. The only population that I could tell you about is the population where I live, population in Baltimore City, 690,000 people. 690,000 is the population in Baltimore City. Now, how that compares to the countries of England, Germany, Canada, Japan, China, and Singapore, no idea, no clue. Okay, so the answer, you ready? England has 60 million people. Germany has 80 million. Canada has 27 million. Japan has 125 million. Singapore has 3 million. And China has 1.2 billion people in their country. 1.2 billion. Well, they certainly won hands down. Followed by Japan. Japan's a small island. I mean, it's an island. 125 million people live on that baby. Yeah, it's pretty populated, right? Okay, next question. Number 9, where will you find the tallest building in the world? I know. Where would you find the tallest building in the world? Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Oops, where'd it go? There it is. The tallest building in the world. How about, anybody know? How about Dubai? Yo, there I am. Let me get rid of this other little camera. Hold on there. Okay, we're back. Yay. Okay. I figured out how to list comments on my screen. Problem is I can't read them. The print is like that. Holy guacamole, I can't see it to save my soul. Okay, the answer, right? The answer, where do you find the tallest building in the world? That would be Dubai. Dubai has the tallest building in the world. It is spectacular. It is a hotel that you can stay in. Oh my God, it's so very tall. I don't know how tall, but it's the tallest one in the world. Last question. If you buy 40 liters of gasoline, how many gallons is that? 40 liters of gasoline, 40 liters of petrol is how many gallons? Anybody know their liters and gallons? Liters and gallons. Okay, so 40 liters is equal to 10.6 gallons. Why do we got a 0.6 in there? Make it more difficult. 40 liters equals 10.6 gallons. Okay. All right. Wasn't that fun? It was more like a geography or world history. I don't know. But that was kind of interesting. My question is, why do we have Fahrenheit and Celsius? Why do we have, kilograms and miles per hour? I mean, why can't it all be uniform? Wouldn't that be easier? I think so. I think it would. It seems like the U.S. Has their little quirky systems and everybody else has the other one, at least most of Europe, as far as I can tell. Could be wrong. I don't know. Okay, so now it's time for everyone, you all out there, whoever you are, wherever you are, I should say. Now it is time to get yourself something to drink, maybe a hot cup of tea, cup of coffee to keep you awake, a glass of wine to chill, whatever your preference. Something nice to drink, a nice chair, a comfortable chair, maybe a recliner, or maybe curling up on the couch. And just kind of relax and close your eyes, and I will read you a bedtime story. How about that? The book that we've been reading these last few weeks is called The Haunted Attic. It is a Judy Bolton mystery. Okay, Judy Bolton mysteries are written by Margaret Sutton. Now, Margaret Sutton, well, let me just read you about Margaret Sutton, the author. Margaret Sutton was born Rachel Irene Beebe, and she was born in Pennsylvania in 1903. She was a spirited nonconformist for her time. She dropped out of high school, but in 1920, graduated from the Rochester Business Institute and embarked on a business career until she married William H. Sutton in 1924. Margaret was a pen name given to her by her publisher. Margaret Sutton wove many real events and places into the Judy Bolton series. Now, Judy Bolton was written over the Judy Bolton series was written over a period of like 35 years, right? From 1932 to 67. So the stories feature this wonder girl, this young lady, Judy Bolton, who has a passion for solving mysteries, okay? And Judy has her friends about her that assist her in all of these things. One of the things about these particular books is, unlike some of the other series, these characters age with time. They actually grow up and change. And also the author winds in like real events into her fictional stories. And by doing that, she also touches on like the social climate and culture of the time. For instance, some of the there's a few parts in this book where had it been written in times now, it might have been a tad offensive, culturally speaking. Anyway, it's a book, okay? It's a fictional story, and it was, remember, written in another time, another ambiance, another influence. You know, there weren't influencers then, right? And just a little bit about Judy Bolton. Her books are noted for their realism and social commentary. Unlike most other characters, Judy and her friends age and mature and often deal with important social issues. To many, Judy is a feminist in the best light, smart, capable, courageous, nurturing, and always unwavering in her true beliefs, a perfect role model. So we have read the first 6 chapters in The Haunted Attic. I'll give you a brief little synopsis here about it. The Boltons move into a large rambling house reputed to be haunted. Even the brave Judy is thoroughly frightened at the strange scrapings and tappings and the eerie crying ghost. So Judy, her brother, and her parents have moved into this house. And we'll continue with chapter 7, Tracks. The opening in the ceiling had been left uncovered. Judy caught hold of the sides of the queer doorway and lifted herself up so that she could peer into the dark attic. 2 shafts of light from the 2 round windows showed her that the attic was by no means empty. Boxes, dishes, paper, a trunk, and an old bird cage near the window were only a few of the things that she beheld in the dim outline. A floor of rough planks covered only about half of the attic, and the place smelled perfectly dreadful. Horace, she gasped, get me a gas mask. It smells like something dead up here. But do you see anything? He wanted to know. Horace is Judy's brother. Not yet, nothing except a lot of junk piled up. Oh, this odor is awful. I don't see how a respectable ghost could stand it. I can't stay up here another minute. Guess we've both had enough of this unearthly stuff for tonight, Horace agreed as he took his sister's hand and helped her down from the pile of boxes. It was getting late, and Judy had almost forgotten the task ahead of her. But she had promised Kay Vinson that she would return her notebook in the morning, and the history lesson must be finished. She filled her fountain pen. Wow, she filled her fountain pen. Does anybody know what that's about? She filled her fountain pen, wiped the point on a piece of tissue paper, and was about to settle herself to her note copying again when, to her dismay, she noticed that Kate's carefully prepared pages were covered with dirty brown tracks. What could have made them? Judy was too upset to ponder this new mystery. She tried to erase the strange smudges, but only succeeding in making the page look worse. Horace, she cried in despair, come and see what happened to this notebook. Oh, what shall I do? He stared at the tracks in horrified silence. It was apparent that the page was hopelessly blotted, but he could think of no solution to the problem. Couldn't I copy them all over again? Asked Judy. Copy Kay's notes? That will never do. The teachers will not accept notes in anyone else's handwriting, and you would have a time imitating it. You'll just have to apologize to this girl, Harry Vinson's daughter of all people, and I know how snippy she is. Judy knew too, and that night she lay awake dreading it. The house was so quiet that she could hear Horace breathing in the next room. She could hear something else, too, a faint rapping which grew increasingly louder as the night wore on. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, as rhythmic as the ticking of a clock. Judy lay there in the dark, listening, fearing the ghostly rappings less than she did the approval of Kay Vincent, a girl she hardly knew. Finally, long after midnight, she dropped off to sleep, the 1, 2, 3 still pounding in her brain. Later, how much later, Judy did not know, but she awoke suddenly and sat up in bed all a tremble. A series of thumps, scrapes, and scratching sounds were issuing from the ceiling. What was worse, the door to the attic was slightly ajar, and she was sure she and Horace had closed it and fitted it securely into the opening. Something strong enough to move the door must be up there in the attic. Judy seized her flashlight and moved the bed over to where she could climb on the headrail and see. The noise increased suddenly, but by the time Judy had climbed up and was able to look into the attic, everything was quiet. The circle of light revealed nothing except the trunk, papers, and boxes that she had seen before. She played the flashlight in every corner and then, repulsed by the terrible odor, climbed down with a disappointed sigh. Whatever was up there seemed to be capable of disappearing, and, Judy reasoned, there must be a closet or something for the creature to hide in. She would climb up with Horace some other time when there was plenty of opportunity to make a thorough search. The whole thing had unnerved her more than she realized. In almost no time, it was morning. Judy remembered the unpleasant duty ahead of her. She must apologize to Kate Vincent for soiling her notebook. How, Judy wondered, could she possibly explain those dirty tracks? Kay wouldn't believe her if she told the truth. Perhaps Lois could suggest a way out. Okay. But when Judy called at the palatial door of the Farrington pet dwelling, the maid informed her that Miss Lois had left early. She had probably stopped for Lorraine. As she walked on toward school, Judy consoled herself with the thought that Lois might be in the study and in the study hall, and in that case, she could depend on her to sympathize and help straighten things out with Kay. The study hall was almost empty when Judy arrived. A group of girls were standing in a far corner, talking and laughing. To her dismay, Judy noticed that one of the girls was Kay Vincent. Almost immediately, she came forward and demanded her notebook. Judy had expected Kay's cold stare, but was quite unprepared for what followed. You couldn't keep anything clean, Harry Vincent's daughter stormed. I might have known that. Anyone that would live in Vine Thompson's dirty house. The house isn't dirty, Judy defended hotly. We cleaned it thoroughly before we even moved our furniture in. You couldn't clean up such a house, said Kate angrily. Well, answered Judy angrily, your father didn't even try. He didn't tell us about that woman who was murdered there either. Who was she anyway? Kay's eyes narrowed and she seemed to be looking through, not at Judy. If you know about her, she retorted spitefully, you wouldn't stay in that house another night. Is that so? Judy's cheeks were hot with anger, her eyes red from lack of sleep, and altogether she made a most unhappy picture as she stood in the aisle storming at Kay. If that's the case, your father has a lot of nerve offering the house to a hero like my brother. I suppose that was his way of dodging taxes on a place he couldn't rent. But don't worry, it will take more than Vine Thompson's spirit to scare us away from the house. And any information I get, Kay Vincent, I won't get from you. But Harry Vincent's daughter had not heard this outburst of temper. She had left the study just as Lois entered and stood in the doorway with a surprised and hurt expression in her brown eyes. How could you? She asked. Oh, Judy, I'm so disappointed. Perhaps Lorraine was right after all, and you are not the kind of girl we want in our group. And I did hope that you would try and be a lady like Kay Vincent, I suppose, interrupted Judy with anger still in her voice. Well, at least Kay says her unkind things in a ladylike way. I don't know what she said, but I am sure you could have answered her without losing your temper. That isn't the way to make friends, Judy. It's the way to lose the few friends you have. I've tried to be true to our pledge and treat you just the same as I do Lorraine, but you don't realize how hard you are making it for me. Judy did realize suddenly and hung her head. I'm sorry, she murmured. It's hard for me too. That evening, Judy went for a walk to think things out alone. This time, instead of walking down Grove Street towards Lois's home, she walked up towards the factory section. The shabby little houses on the hillside looked more cheerful after dark. The shades in Irene's house were pulled to the top, and through the lighted window, Judy could see her sitting at her piano. She stood for 10 or 15 minutes listening to Irene as she played and sung old-time melodies for her father, who seemed to be a cripple. His crutch rested beside his chair. Irene had just closed her piano and turned out the light when Judy realized that she was not standing alone. A man had been standing beside her, and now he turned and spoke. "Nice music, wasn't it?" he said. "Why, yes, I enjoyed it." Judy spoke guardedly. She had recognized the voice of the man who had trimmed their hedge and attempted to prune the tree. She was not anxious to engage in a conversation with him, especially on Upper Grove Street. "I'll have to hurry home," she said. "Wait a minute." The man caught her at her arm. "Don't mind if I walk with you? It's dark along here." Judy knew it was dark. She glanced fearfully at the deserted factory across the street, and then at the man who was quickening his pace to keep step with her. She would have preferred darkness to his company. "Ain't afraid, are ya?" "Oh, no, but I don't know you. I'd rather walk alone." "Sure you know me," he insisted. "You're the doctor's daughter. I've been kind of hoping that your pa would have some more work for me. Ain't there anything you want done inside the house?" "No, I'm sure there isn't. Mother and I take care of that." "Yeah? How about cleaning the attic? You ain't been up there yet, eh, miss?" Judy gave a little start. She could not truthfully say no, and she dared not say yes. She was a little worried. "What makes you think the attic needs cleaning?" she asked. "Sort of suspicioned it, that's all. Most women folks don't relish cleaning dark holes." Dark holes. Especially when they're haunted. "We'll send for you if you're wanted." Judy managed to break away from the man and ran up the steps and into the house. Horace met her at the door, and she could see that he was worried. "Who is that man outside?" he wanted to know. "The feller who cut the grass," Judy replied as she threw her coat on a chair arm and sank in the chair beside it. "I hope Dad doesn't hire him again. He's altogether too familiar." "I didn't like his face either," Horace agreed. "Judy, I wish you wouldn't go out alone at night. There are plenty of people who would enjoy walking with you. Peter Dobbs, for instance. He was here while you were out talking about his folks again and seemed anxious about his grandmother. Dad gave him some medicine for her." "Oh, I wish I had been here." Judy was genuinely disappointed. "Peter didn't say any more about his own folks, his parents, I mean, did he? Only that he doesn't think his grandparents will ever tell them who they were." He seemed quite certain that they wouldn't answer questions. Funny business, I call it. Judy, I've got a surprise for you. Really? Yes, and it's alive. Come on up in your room and see. Wondering, she followed him up the stairs. Okay, we shall read on in just a half second here. Chapter 8, Horace's Black Notebook. I'll give you 3 guesses. Horace paused with his hand on the knob of the door to Judy's room. I think it's a watchdog. We really need one, don't we? No, something smaller than that. I know, a globe of goldfish. I've always wanted some to keep on my windowsill. Wrong again, Horace cried as he swung open the door. You see, it doesn't go at all well with goldfish. Horace, not another cat. Judy was regarding the scrawny white creature curled up on Blackberry's cushion with disapproval. He needs a bath, she said at length, and he looks as if he hasn't eaten a decent meal in weeks. Where did you get him? Found him, Horace replied shortly. I thought so. He looks like a stray. Blackberry wouldn't stand for such a dirty intruder lying on his cushion. Look, he soiled it already. So he has. Both of them could see that the cushion was not the same dainty lavender it had been before. Where the white cat had curled its lean body, it changed to a drab gray. Blackberry himself had padded up the stairs and stood in the doorway, arching his back and eyeing the white intruder with the injured dignity of a king forced to abdicate his throne. Judy lifted the white cat gingerly and carried him downstairs where, in spite of his yowling protest, he was thrown into a tub of soapy water. If we must keep 2 cats, she declared, both of them are going to be clean. Judy was dousing the kitten with a sponge, and as she talked, and wet and shivering, he looked more starved than ever. Afterwards, she dried him with a Turkish towel and gave him a saucer of warm milk. Then, much to his humiliation, Blackberry was put outside and his cushion given over to the half-grown white cat. I'll get a new cushion for Blackberry, Judy announced. And really, Horace, if you don't mind, I think this white skeleton ought to sleep in the hall. He doesn't fit in with the color scheme in my room. What would you want, a purple cat? It suits me, though. In fact, Horace continued with an amused smile, since you don't appreciate my gift, I think I'll keep the white cat myself. I've even thought of a good name for him, the Ghost. How do you like it? It suits him, Judy agreed. I never in all my life saw such a scrawny creature. Horace had found a place in a corner of his own room for the soiled lavender cushion and was stroking the cat, who answered with a loud crackling purr. It sounds as if he has asthma, Judy said in disgust. You really ought to give him some medicine. Maybe Dad can suggest something. I'll ask him, Horace promised, and seated himself beside the table where he usually did his writing. He sat there thoughtfully tapping on his chin with the end of his pencil. That and the sound of the kitten's harsh purring grated on Judy's nerves. You're certainly a help, she remarked with a shrug. You were going to investigate all the noises we heard, and here you are only making them worse. You wanted to live in a haunted house, he charged, looking up with a provoking smile. Remember, sis, it's all your idea, and a ghost and a black cat add something to the spookiness of the place. Why, I saw one of those old women from the row run half a block to keep Blackberry from crossing her path. Horace was still chuckling over this when Judy left the room and settled herself at her own desk to finish her homework. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, sounded the ghostly rappings on the wall. Judy found herself making one blunder after the other as she pursued her lessons. She almost wished she had been sensible and chosen the quiet room across the hall. Finally, she closed her books in desperation, thrust them under her arm, and marched into Horace's room. You'll have to let me study in here with you, she announced. I can't stand that room of mine another minute. Do you mind putting that cat out as we have half an hour's peace? Not at all. He lifted the scrawny creature, cushion and all, and removed it to the farthest end of the hall. When he returned, he stood in the doorway, regarding his sister with a perplexed frown. This irritable person did not seem like the same girl who had been so thrilled with the idea of living in a haunted house that she had chosen the most perilous room on purpose. What's the matter? He asked. Did you hear something? Please, Horace, she begged. Leave me alone until I'm finished with these equations, and then if you insist, we will get busy on the mysteries. I am busy on them. He exhibited a small black notebook. What do you suppose is in here? I haven't the remotest idea. What? Ghost stories, he replied with a grin. He then pocketed the notebook and would talk no more of it. Well, if he's so good at solving mysteries, Judy said to herself the following night, what she attempted to do when she attempted to do some studying in her room, he ought to be interested in this one. Horace, she called, come here and listen to this. He bounded up the stairs and paused in the doorway, his head cocked to one side and a comical expression on his face. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, sounded the weird rappings. This time, to Judy's amazement, her brother did not seem at all frightened, but took out his black notebook and jotted down something, then tucked it away in his pocket again and told his sister that the mystery would soon be solved. Detective Bolton is now on the job for fair, he said with a flourish of his pencil, and a master of mysteries is he. Judy did not return to her studying directly, but went over to the secret drawer in her dresser where she kept her clues. Perhaps they aren't as interesting as his, she said to herself, but we shall see who is a master of mysteries. However, a whole weekend passed without any investigating or further exploring of the attic. Instead, Horace and Judy called on the Dobbs family after a quiet morning at church. They sat in the parlor of the neat little apartment and took the place of the big white house where they used to live in Rollsville. The apartment was furnished less expensively, but in good taste. The nice old couple were glad to see their hero and his sister, and Mrs. Dobbs's blackberry tarts were a special treat. They reminded Judy of the blackberry jam that the kind old lady had once purchased from her. That jam, like all the rest of their belongings, had been washed away in the Roseville flood. All the time Judy sat visiting, she kept wanting to ask about Peter's mother. The boy himself was not there, and it seemed to be a splendid opportunity to find out things. Peter says he looks like you, Mrs. Dobbs, she began, but I don't think he looks very much like either you or his grandfather. Indeed, the old lady smiled. He's a fine-looking boy at any rate, so we're not worried where he gets his good looks from. Perhaps from his own father or mother, suggested Judy timidly. Mr. Dobbs jumped to his feet. The boy looks like his grandmother, he cried, and to make the statement more impressive, he punctuated it with a hard thump on the table. It's his grandmother's eyes he's got, and her nose, and her hair, and her complexion. There isn't any doubt about it. There was an absolute silence for several minutes after that. Then Mr. Dobbs asked more civilly, well, how's high school, Judy? I reckon you're at the head of the class again. Not now, she explained, but I'm catching up. Languages aren't so easy, but I love English composition and math. I'm taking 6 subjects. That's all we're allowed to take. And if you were allowed to take 10, by God, you'd be taking 10, chuckled Mr. Dobbs. From that time on, they talked of everything except Peter. The boy came in just when they were preparing to leave and offered to walk home with them. Did you ask any questions about my parents? He wanted to know as soon as the 3 young people were alone. Tried to, answered Horace. At least Judy did, but it didn't work out. Didn't suppose it would, he replied shortly, but it did no harm to try. Your grandfather nearly took my hat off, said Judy, but of course there was no harm in that. I'm not used to being handled like a china doll. Peter chuckled. A girl that lives in that haunted house ought to be able to stand rough treatment. By the way, did you find out anything about the ghost we saw in the window? Judy started to tell him that they hadn't found out a single thing, but before she could open her mouth to speak, Horace answered gravely. The results of any investigation on the part of the committee are to be withheld until the day of the grand demonstration, when all will be divulged and expounded. Who was it that read the dictionary? Asked Peter. You or your sister? I did, laughed Judy, but he uses the big words oftener. I will act as an interpreter if necessary. She found it easier, however, to interpret her brother's words than his actions. Late that next night, he took his little black notebook and with a pencil over his ear, proceeded to climb the hollow tree in front of the house. Judy watched him as he tapped on the tree with the pencil, broke off twigs here and there, and did a few other curious things. The committee must not be disturbed, he replied, when she endeavored to find out what it was all about. After she was in bed, Judy listened but heard no more rappings. Instead, she heard a scraping sound like something being dragged across a bare floor. The rappings had not disturbed her except when she was very tired, but this scraping, it made her shudder. Horace, she called, I don't think the committee has improved matters much. I never Can't sleep with someone dragging dead bodies across the floor. Horrors, he exclaimed. Now what have I done? With his black book in one hand and a rope in the other, he dashed out of his room and again ascended the tree. And that, my friends, is where we will leave this wonderful haunted attic story by Margaret Sutton. So I hope you enjoyed this past hour, mystery hour. Hope you learned something. Hope you relaxed. Hope you had some fun. And I guess that's all I can hope for at the moment. So I will see you Tuesday, Titanic Terror Night. More mystery, right? Okay, so Tuesday. Don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sharon Schultz, the Bay Lady. Don't forget to also follow me on Facebook. And when we come back next week, we will read more of our story, The Haunted Attic, and we'll play or solve another little mystery, one of the little minute mysteries that we have. So until then, don't forget, buy me a coffee. I do love coffee, really. All right, take care. Thanks. Bye.